You trust your own eyes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you believe the visual data feeding into your brain is, well, safe.
Yeah, we all assume the world operates strictly within the unyielding boundaries of physics and reason.
Exactly. But what happens when you are forced to look at something that fundamentally breaks those rules? Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are undertaking a very specific, custom-tailored mission for you.
And it is a dark one.
It really is. We are tearing into a stack of deeply unsettling sources. I'm talking archived Japanese internet forum threads from 2003, clinical psychological papers on catastrophic cognitive dissonance, and a forensic frame-by-frame breakdown of a specific piece of early 2000s found footage.
And to be completely clear up front, this is not a ghost story.
No, absolutely not. We are conducting a clinical autopsy of psychological dread. We are examining the fatal consequences of, forbidden knowledge.
So listen closely. We are dealing with the absolute limits of human sanity.
Yeah.
And you are not safe from the things you cannot comprehend.
Right. So we have to begin with the environment itself because the setting here is the trap.
It is. The primary source material is this digital recording made by a Western tourist. He's completely isolated in the deep rural countryside of Japan.
During the suffocating peak of summer, right.
Exactly. And the footage begins with this overwhelming, impressive stillness. The camera just pans across these endless, vibrant green rice fields. The sky is an unobstructed, blinding blue.
There are no shadows.
None. There's absolutely no place for a threat to hide. It's an idyllic, perfectly normal, almost painfully serene agricultural landscape.
I want to stop right there and push back on a classic assumption because we are conditioned by practically every piece of media we consume to associate terror with the dark.
Oh, definitely. We expect the monster in the closet.
Right. We expect the threat to come from a shadowy basement or a dense forest at midnight. But looking through the psychological research in our sources, it becomes clear that nighttime terror is actually, well, it's cheap.
Because it allows your brain to negotiate.
Yeah, exactly.
The brain is an engine of rationalization. When you see something terrifying in the dark, your visual cortex has incomplete data. So it fills in the blanks with acceptable realities.
You tell yourself it was just a trick of the low light or, a coat hanging on a door.
Or just an animal that belongs in the darkness. The dark provides an escape hatch for your sanity.
But daylight terror offers no escape hatch. True horror in broad daylight forces you to confront exactly what is in front of you. I mean, you cannot rationalize away a threat when it is fully illuminated by the burning midday sun.
The daylight strips you of your denial. It demands absolute acceptance of the nightmare.
It really does. So we have this tourist standing in the blistering heat, surrounded by perfectly still, bright green rice paddies, and then the footage captures something that completely shatters that serene perfection.
The narrative violently hinges on a single, impossible intrusion. Standing dead center in the middle of this vast, empty green field is a solitary figure in the far distance.
And it's tall.
Unnaturally, impossibly pale white, starkly contrasting against the deep green of the crops. But the true horror lies in its movement.
It's not walking?
No, it is not walking. It is not standing still. It is violently thrashing, twisting, and wiggling its entire form in a way that utterly defies the basic mechanics of human anatomy.
Let's break down that movement because the forensic video analysis in our stack goes into intense detail here. We are not talking about a person dancing or someone waving their arms.
No, the movement is fierce.
It's chaotic. It is entirely devoid of biological logic. I mean, it moves like a white ribbon whipping furiously in the center of a hurricane.
That's a great way to describe it.
It's a spasmodic, relentless contortion. It possesses no joints, no rigid skeletal structure.
But here is the core environmental contradiction that the video analysis points out, the detail that signals absolute doom. The surrounding rice crops are completely, perfectly still.
Right, there is no wind whatsoever.
Exactly. The meteorological data and the visual evidence confirm absolute atmospheric stillness. This lack of wind is the ultimate terror because it removes every remaining logical explanation.
It confirms to the observer that the entity is not a piece of debris caught in a draft.
Right. It's not an optical illusion caused by extreme weather or heat haze. It is a localized, unnatural anomaly generating its own impossible kinetic momentum.
I want you to let that sink into your consciousness for a second. A physical entity is thrashing with enough violent energy to tear muscle from bone, yet the delicate stalks of rice mere inches away from it are not even swaying.
It's just horrifying.
When I read the psychological papers on spatial processing failures, I immediately thought of a modern analogy. Think of what happens when your Wi-Fi drops, but instead of a video buffering, reality itself fails to load correctly.
Oh, wow.
Imagine watching a person aggressively clip through a solid brick wall in a video game, or watching a massive boulder fall upward into the sky. Your brain violently glitches.
Because the human mind is a fragile, highly calibrated machine. It relies entirely on recognizing familiar patterns, what we call pareidolia.
Right, we are desperate to map visual input to known biological or physical models.
Is it an animal caught in a snare? Is it a human having a violent seizure? When the brain realizes it's none of those things, it faces a profound crisis. It is attempting to process an anatomical impossibility that renders the laws of physics entirely obsolete within its immediate radius.
And this brings us to the cultural sources we pulled from those early 2000s internet archives. In the dark corners of Japanese urban legend, this specific entity bears a name.
Yes, it is the Kunekune.
Kunekune. The name itself translates roughly to the twisting, wiggling thing, and the lore surrounding it is defined by one absolute, unforgiving golden rule.
If you see the Kunekune from afar, you must ignore it. You look away, you turn around, you walk in the opposite direction. If you respect the boundary, you survive.
The lore explicitly warns that the entity acts as a visual hazard.
Right, it does not hunt you. It does not chase you. The danger is entirely tied to your own perception of it.
But the Western tourist recording this footage possessed none of this critical cultural survival knowledge. He's an outsider. And I want to highlight something crucial about the early 2000s context here.
The dawn of the digital documentation era.
Exactly. He is operating under the fatal modern assumption that whatever he sees can be safely consumed as content. We have this dangerous, pervasive instinct to capture everything strange through a lens. I mean, think about what you do when you see something bizarre on the street. You do not run.
You pull out your phone.
You pull out your phone.
We use our devices as shields. We fundamentally believe that if we are looking at something through a screen, it cannot hurt us. The glass lens creates a false barrier of digital immunity.
We reduce reality to a flat, manageable image.
But in the case of the Kunekune footage, the camcorder is not a recording device. It becomes the instrument of his immediate destruction. He uses the technology to pull the unknown closer.
It's a fatal curiosity driven by pure arrogance. The tourist does not flee. He stops moving. He stabilizes the camera. And he initiates the digital zoom.
Which is the worst possible thing he could do.
The Kunekune exists at a safe distance, adhering to the golden rule of the ancient folklore. But the camera bridges that distance artificially. I view this as an act of immense technological hubris. By zooming in, he is aggressively demanding to perceive forbidden knowledge.
His ignorance transforms into active provocation. He is forcing his brain to resolve an image it was biologically never meant to decipher. He is dragging the anomaly directly into his own visual cortex.
Right. The act of zooming in is the aggressive pursuit of something that is actively broadcasting its own impossibility.
It is the technological equivalent of kicking open a heavy iron door that was locked from the outside for your own protection.
And the psychological papers in our stack describe this exact mechanism. The brain can handle seeing a blurry, distant anomaly. It files it away as unknown and just moves on.
But when you force the eye to focus on the impossible, you strip away the brain's ability to ignore it. The tourist is actively seeking his own destruction simply because he owns a device capable of recording it.
Which brings us to the horrific climax of the footage. The dread escalates exponentially as the digital zoom maxes out.
The image becomes heavily pixelated, heavily grainy. The technology itself seems to struggle to render the entity, as if the camera's sensors are failing to process the impossible data. The visual feed degrades.
But it zooms in just enough.
Just enough. The absolute turning point of the footage and the final moment of the tourist's sane life occurs the exact millisecond the camcorder lens finally locks focus on the entity's true face.
You hear it happen. The audio violently shifts. This is the detail from the forensic breakdown that I just cannot stop thinking about.
A laughter.
Yes. Throughout the beginning of the video, the tourist is chuckling. He is making these light, curious sounds. It is an innocent, ignorant laughter of someone who thinks they are filming a weird prank or a strange local custom.
But the moment the lens pulls the true face into sharp relief, that laughter instantly warps into a horrific, mind-shattering scream.
It is a primal, agonizing tear in the audio track. There is no breath taken, no pause for realization. The laughter is instantly obliterated by a sound of pure psychological agony.
Then the camera drops violently into the dirt. The recording continues, capturing only the soil, the unmoving stalks of rice, and the sound of a completely destroyed human being.
Let's fiercely analyze the mechanics of this outcome because I want to ensure you truly grasp what happened here. The tourist was not physically attacked.
No, he wasn't.
The Kunekune did not cross the field, it did not touch him, it did not project a weapon. I want you to explain how visual data alone can cause this level of catastrophic destruction.
Because the destruction was entirely cognitive. Simply seeing the entity's true face broke his mind completely. We must return to the concept of cognitive dissonance, pushed past the absolute limit of biological endurance.
Right.
The human brain acts like a highly complex electrical circuit. It requires logical inputs to function. When the tourist zoomed in, he received visual data so corrupted, so terrifyingly incompatible with existence, that his brain permanently burned out its own hardware to stop the signal.
It's a fatal crash of the human operating system. He saw what it was, and the knowledge of what it was is incompatible with a functioning human mind.
Imagine the profound panic of a consciousness instantly destroying itself because it perceived something so fundamentally unnatural.
So abhorrent to the structure of reality.
Yes, that self-deletion is the only biological response. The scream we hear is not just fear. It is the sound of a human intellect being violently dismantled by its own defense mechanisms.
It is the realization that the universe is not a safe, ordered place.
It is a chaotic void, where things like the Kunekune exist in broad daylight, utterly indifferent to our fragile sanity. The mind breaks because the alternative is to live in a reality where that entity makes sense.
The brain chooses immediate madness over comprehension.
Exactly. The tourist's mind forcefully dismantled itself, rather than process the geometry and the nature of the face he looked upon.
Absorb this core lesson. The story of the Kunekune found footage is not a mere internet curiosity from 2003. It is a terrifying testament to a brutal truth.
There are rigid boundaries in this world that are not meant to be crossed.
There is knowledge that acts as a terminal poison to human comprehension. Some sites are fundamentally incompatible with sanity.
Maintain your vigilance. Do not forget your own vulnerability. You walk through the world entirely exposed to the unknown.
You carry a camera in your pocket every single day, ready to zoom in on whatever anomaly catches your eye. You believe you are an observer, safely detached from the horrors of the world by the screen in your hand.
You are not. You are incredibly fragile. Your sanity hangs by a thread of recognizable patterns.
Consider this deeply unsettling reality as you go about your life. You rely on your screens to protect you. You rely on the distance to keep you safe. But if merely zooming in on a grainy digital image of such an entity can instantly and permanently shatter a human mind, what happens to you if you are ever staring out into an empty field behind the safety of your camera lens and the thing in the distance realizes you are looking back?